Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, ICBA.ca. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Jordan, what kind of problems are small business people running into? And we have to remind folks that over 70% of jobs in Canada are provided by small business.
Well, the number one problem is cash flow. Cash flow, and cash flow. So when you're being forced to shut down by the government, and, obviously for very important reasons, you're still being forced to shut down. And that means you're not bringing in any revenue, or you're bringing in a very small percentage of your usual revenue, and yet many of your costs are fixed. So, your rent is fixed, your tax burden is fixed, some supply costs are fixed, although you can reduce a few, maybe you can reduce some staff, but you still do have staffing costs. So all of these things are mounting, debt is mounting, debt payments, and, still we sit and wait for the government to come through with their wage subsidy and all of those different programs. So for small business, it's dire. I feel like every day in social media, we go online and we find another business or two or three that really have contributed to be part of the fabric of our city and our region, our province. Another one or two or three have closed their doors and announced they're closing permanently. The local pub, the local restaurant, the little mom and pop shop, those places that really, make neighborhoods special and unique, they're the first ones to go. And, it drives me a little crazy when I watch Kennedy Stewart, Mayor of Vancouver, crying about Vancouver's revenue problems and having never done anything to actually help the small businesses who pay a huge chunk of that revenue.
Now, should relief checks, for me, it seems like they're trying to be too precise. Wouldn't it be so much easier if a small business could just say, well, over this period of time, we usually make this much revenue. Can you send a check for that? And then next year, tax time, sort it all out.
Well, that's exactly it. So, as long as you have the ability to tax people later, you can claw back some of that money from the folks who didn't need it. And, there's some who don't, right? There's some who've been able to pivot maybe from making a certain kind of manufacturing something, and they've pivoted to making PPE. Maybe they're part of the essential supply chain. Save on Foods, for example, probably doesn't need a check at this point. But, better to send it out, better to send too many out, and then to tax it back when revenues are reported. But, we've been saying that all along. It's frustrating to us that government has decided to go down this path. We're still apparently 2 to 5 weeks away from seeing even the application process for the wage subsidy. And there's a lot of companies who are, swimming in credit and debt, trying to still hold on until that comes through, or hoping that, with cases in BC having been reduced to a couple dozen a day, new cases, that maybe we get out of this lockdown altogether. But that's a costly bet for a small business owner to make.
Is this especially devastating for businesses that just started up, a restaurant or a shoe repair shop, something like that, where you don't even have revenue from last year to compare it to tell the government we need this cash flow to make sure we survive?
Yeah, it's crushing. Now, the government's trying to help folks like that. They've pointed out that you don't have to do it year over year. You can do it month to month as far as your revenue drop. But if you're a new business, maybe you started having help February, mid-February. You had a slow month. You had a good month in February, but it was only 2 weeks. And then March came and the bottom fell out. That's not really going to help you going forward with the wage subsidy. And listen, a number of folks talk about getting takeout and supporting restaurants who, especially. But, you go to these takeout places and instead of a staff, instead of having, maybe 10 or 12 or 15 people working, they'll have 2, a cook and a front end person. That's a far cry from being able to sustain these businesses either.
I know the government, a lot of them say they're going to defer taxes, but how can you really defer it and have a set date when we don't know when life, quote, will get back to normal?
Well, that's exactly right. It's the deferrals, much of what the BC government's $5 billion aid package is deferred taxes. Well, that's not really aid. That's just punting a problem down the road. And maybe if the lockup is still happening, they'll punt it down further. But that is very different than actually stroking $5 billion in checks to help your small businesses hang on. It's so heartbreaking because these business owners, many of them are going out of business. It's not their fault. Their business plan was sound. They did everything right. They've had great service and great food and, great product and great people and, a real loyal customer base, but they can't make a go of it if they're not allowed to open. And it's really heartbreaking to see that happen. I do wonder what happens in a number of these low margin businesses. I've been thinking about ice arenas a little bit. My son's a hockey player. Ice arenas are not a high margin business. Now they've been forced to close during spring and summer, which is, definitely shortened their season. Without that money from ice rentals, you wonder how they're going to stay afloat and, what does that mean for next year?
Hockey camps
the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this.
I was going to say for private arenas, hockey camps are where you make your money, and they're held over the summer.
Oh, exactly. You make it through that. You make it through your spring programs, big tournaments in the spring, but all of that is vanished. So, for example, my little guy signed up for a 3-on-3 league that was supposed to start in Surrey. It's now been pushed back a month and a half. They're reluctant to cancel it altogether. I think they're hoping for a miracle. So a camp or a league that was supposed to play in April, May, and June, they're now saying they'll make the final decision in mid-May about. But that's a sign of just how desperate they are to hold on to that revenue.
Oh yeah, and I remember it would be quite some time ago, but I signed up for a hockey fantasy camp to learn, tricks of the trade from former NHL players. It was one of the most fun I ever had in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the stories. It's not the
hockey. Yeah.
I was going to say it's the stories, not the hockey.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't have to be 10 years old to love hockey. That's for sure. And, we have a number of ex-NHLers in the Lower Mainland and around the province who now run their own little spring programs, and it's a big problem. Yeah, we're kind of a weird aside. I'm on the hockey executive for Langley Minor Hockey Association. We're the second largest association in the province. And, we're mulling through these issues too, right? We're going to open registration, but we're not going to take any money for the fall until we know for sure we can have a fall season. We've waived certain volunteer bonds and things like that. Really, encouraged our teams to refund as many of the team fees that they have left as possible. But, it's just a completely different world, and there's no roadmap, so you're kind of fumbling through, and it feels like in the first few weeks after this, almost every day we were finding another little thing that we hadn't thought about, what do we do about this? What is the policy on that? So, businesses, charities, arts groups, municipal governments, we're all kind of in the same boat trying to navigate through this weird world.
Should companies be getting a break on their vehicle insurance right now with a lot less traffic on the roads? There must be fewer accidents.
Oh, absolutely. So the big U.S. insurance companies, are rebating, car insurance all over the place. Some by as much as 75% because claims have dropped by as much as 90% in some places. So you've got to figure that's happening in BC as well. In fact, on Monday I was listening to the traffic report, Monday morning rush hour, and they were talking about an accident that had happened north of Squamish on the Sea to Sky. That's how little accidents they had to talk about during the Monday morning rush. Vancouver was talking about an accident between Squamish and Whistler. So, the claims have gone down. David Eby admits the claims have gone down, but he won't refund the money to drivers. And sure as heck, I don't know about you, Jim, but I could use a couple $100 extra this month and next month to help me through this tough time.
Oh, they'll wait until election time to do that.
Well, you know, it is funny. There are certain cabinet ministers who perform very well during this. You know, I think Adrian Dix being the most visible of them all. And there's certain ones whose political star has faded during this. I think David Eby, who's in charge of ICBC, has certainly faded away. One would think he would be, you know, from a political point of view and from just a decency point of view, pushing hard to get this money back out into British Columbia's hands. But instead, he's hoarding it away, I guess, to maybe make the bottom line look better for his dumpster fire of a Crown Corp.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Cyprus Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cyprus Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cyprusdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, how safe is it for the guys who are working on construction sites right now? Can they stay safe and socially distanced and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Henry has laid out some very strict protocols for construction workers. The vast majority of sites are abiding by those rules. The ones that aren't are being inspected and tweaked by WorkSafe BC so that they will. If you actually go to icba.ca/coronavirus, you'll see a website we've set up, and in there is some site safety protocols put out by some of the largest construction companies in BC and being mimicked by smaller ones all over the industry, as far as hygiene, hand washing stations, social distancing, how many people could ride in a lift, use of PPE that's appropriate, all that different stuff. So definitely can be done, is being done. There are no significant outbreaks on construction sites. In fact, for most of BC, there aren't any significant outbreaks outside of long-term care homes and prisons. So, the coronavirus has been widely contained by the physical distancing that's gone on and by making sure that the essential industries like construction or trucking or frontline workers or grocery store workers, making sure that they abide by the rules set out by Dr. Henry.
It seems to me if the work can be done outside where you have sunshine and fresh air, viruses hate that.
Well, exactly. And, Dr. Henry's talked about how, you can be 6 feet away from people outside. That's a bit of an abundance of caution, but very safe and sorry. But inside is really where it spreads quickly. And, we've seen it in these care homes and certainly that prison admission. It's tragic what's happened. But yeah, outside, more space, more fresh air. You just don't have that same kind of interaction as you do when you're staying close to each other indoors, which does make you wonder about things like sporting events going forward, schools, things like that, how to get around that. My suspicion is for the restaurant industry, for example, there'll be very strict social distancing rules when restaurants are allowed to reopen about, maybe use 50% of your capacity. But there'll be a big encouragement to use outdoor patios, and try to push people outside as much as possible.
And for sporting events, don't have crowds of spectators, but I would think for professional sports, you could have all the individuals involved tested. They're outdoors or in a big stadium. Again, BC Place have the roof open, lots of fresh air, so that you don't have known individuals spreading it amongst themselves, and perhaps that's the safe way to play sports in the meantime.
Well, I'm sure they'll try. Major League Baseball announced that they're helping fund a study of 10,000 people, testing each of them for the virus, including most of their own players and admin coaching staff. So that's part of their program to see if they can figure this out. I'm not sure how. Look, for the league I'm most concerned about is the Canadian Football League. This is a gate-driven league, unlike the NHL and NBA and Major League Baseball that rely on TV dollars. It really is butts and seats that pay for the CFL. And you do wonder, you do worry that maybe the public won't be ready to rush back to big gatherings until there's a vaccine out.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after the break.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, as things get back to normal, we know it'll still take some weeks. How do you envision it happening, especially for small business? Will they be able to get their employees back, and will employees even want to come back if the business has survived?
Well, I certainly hope so, and that's definitely the reason behind the Trudeau wage subsidy that's been rolled out. I think we're moving into a time, though, Jim, where hygiene will be first and foremost in every public setting. And I was thinking about back to about a year and a half ago. My family and I went on a Caribbean cruise, and we were amazed that, before you get on the cruise, you're thinking about the Norwalk virus and some of the things that have happened on other cruises. But when you get on, you realize what a culture of hygiene they have to try to prevent that kind of outbreaks from happening, right? There's sanitizer stations every few feet. There's people at the entrance of every restaurant with a little hand sanitizer making you, trying to get you to wash your hands before you go. There's TV advertisements. There's, stuff everywhere talking about the importance of, washing your hands and covering your face if you sneeze or cough, things like that. I think we're headed to that kind of world more globally. Like, I think we're going to come to a point where you might go to a hostess stand at Cactus Club and they'll have some sort of way to test your temperature, make sure you're not running a fever. They'll have hand sanitizer there waiting for you, give you a little, squirt of sanitizer before you go sit down. Maybe our servers are wearing, latex gloves and or masks. Like, I think we're headed towards that for a period of time until a vaccine or herd immunity or whatever's going to save us kicks in. That's a big difference in life, but it's not a fatal difference in life. Like, that's something that I think our society can navigate its way through and make sense of, especially if it has the added effect of giving us back many of our freedoms.
Yes, and perhaps people who work in care homes will start getting decent wages. When they were all fired and had their wages rolled back about 15 years ago, they're still not making the money they were back then. No wonder you can't get experienced staff who are willing to work in only one facility. They have to hold down 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah, care homes are a big concern. One assumes care homes will be the last thing, the final piece to actually be opened back up to the public, which is very difficult for those of us who have loved ones in long-term care. We miss those interactions with our parents and grandparents. But at the same time, it is the best way to keep them safe. I think you're going to see a big jump in different technologies. I think even now, I've noticed Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, Blue Jeans, all those different apps have really taken step forwards in the past couple of weeks as they've become, basically the backbone of the economy. I wouldn't be surprised to see more virtual reality used. In construction, especially on the architectural design side, they use virtual reality quite a bit. You put on a helmet, you wear some gloves, and you can actually walk around the house or the condo that's being built for you. You can change different elements of the plan. If you're a construction worker, you can actually, virtually remove a wall and see the wiring behind exactly the way that it needs to be done. This is already being rolled out in some of the more progressive construction companies. I think that will start to spread more and more. Wouldn't surprise me, for example, at long-term care homes to see virtual reality setups so that, people like me can talk to my grandma. She puts on the little masks and you can have that kind of interaction with her. A lot of things are going to change in the next year or two as we come out of this and as people have really reassessed where they're putting their research and development dollars, where the innovations are coming from. It's technologically, I think 2 years from now, it'll be interesting to see what fruit these lockdowns have provided.
Also, will companies need as much office space when they find out how efficient people can be working from home, and that person may be a little more creative and fresher because they're not expending all that energy commuting every day?
Yeah, that's funny you should mention that, because we were just talking about that this week at ICBA. We currently sublease some property, and we're headed into we've bought a floor plate in a building in Surrey, which will be open kind of late 2021. And we're talking about, how much space do we actually need? Could you actually work 2 or 3 days from home, your whole team, and then bring them back for certain times? There's certainly inefficiencies about working from home. I don't know about you, Jim. I feel like I'm doing 18 million Zoom meetings. I'm not sure that this is the most productive use of my time. But at the same time, I think, especially until a vaccine is done, people are going to be demanding it. We're already talking about, if they do reopen society, maybe we only bring our staff back into the office a couple days a week, kind of rotate them through in order to keep physical distancing possible. That will be a discussion had by virtually every company in business in BC going forward.
Sure, and for a lot of places, you have to share workstations. I have a feeling maybe those will be a thing of the past.
Yeah, WeWork was already on its last legs thanks to some very questionable investment decisions. One assumes that that's going to topple sooner or later. I wouldn't want to be an investor in WeWork at this point. The shared workspace, the open plan seating that's been all the rage. One wonders if that will change. Will people want to go back to their kind of little sequestered offices that they can control the environment in? These are all questions we're dealing with, and it's hard to imagine because we've been in lockdown now. I think this is day 31 for my family, most British Columbians. We've been in lockdown for a month. It feels like forever, and yet they're still very early days as far as the societal impact of what this coronavirus will leave behind. Yeah,
well, I've worked from home for the last 10 years, but I always look forward to Friday's burger and a beer at the local pub, and having that disappear, I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You kind of lose track of it, and right now there's Garbage Day. I remember Garbage Day. That's a big day, and then that's about it. It's really it's hard to get that differentiation between weekends and weekdays. We've been encouraging our staff, on weekends, don't work. Try to go out somewhere, even a walk on a beach or find a trail or a park. Just try to do something physically different, just for your own mental health. But don't go to your Harrington Lake cottage with your kids and have an outdoor Easter egg hunt after telling them they should not to. Oh, sorry, that's advice for Prime Minister Trudeau.
Or get on a private jet from Saskatchewan to Ottawa.
Yeah, also not a great idea.
Jordan, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, icba.ca. If you have any questions for Jordan or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.